Something that a majority of American truck drivers will probably never get to experience is the thrill of having to cross through U.S. customs. As a Canadian driver that worked primarily in the U.S., I crossed through U.S. customs literally thousands of times. Let me tell you a few facts and a few stories about U.S. customs. Lanefinder is the ultimate job platform for truck drivers to find the jobs that they want. The platform has filters so that drivers can narrow down their search to find out different information about carriers that they're interested in, such as the size of the carrier, or where the terminals are, or where the carrier runs. All information that they can get before even ever having to talk to a recruiter. I highly recommend Lanefinder for drivers that are looking and to help them get the best jobs, the best driving jobs out there. Check them out at lanefinder.com. Fact number 1. The U.S. Customs Agency is among the largest law enforcement agencies in the United States, and in areas of international trade, such as ports or bridge land crossings or airports, they have the ultimate power and they are a force not to be messed with. Fact number 2. U.S. Customs does not require what is called probable cause to do any sort of search or enforcement on you or your vehicle when you are in these international trade zones. They are a god in that region and they cannot be messed with. Their word is law. Fact number 3, they can look at and seize your cell phone or your laptop, and if they don't like what they see on it, they can seize that device and arrest you on the spot. No arguments about it. And they can also seize your truck, your trailer, and your load. And if there is something in the load that the driver is not even aware of, like contraband, it just doesn't matter. They arrest the driver on the spot, and he's guilty until proven innocent. U.S. Customs just does not care. Another fact about Customs, they can seize and hold your truck for as long as they want if they suspect that truck has been involved in any sort of illegal activity. And let me tell you a story about that. I knew a woman whose truck they seized when it was empty, crossing U.S. Customs because they thought it was guilty of interstating. Now, what interstating is when a Canadian takes their truck and moves freight from point to point in the U.S. That's illegal. That's taking a job away from an American truck driver. And what she had been doing was picking up freight in Chicago, delivering it to L.A., coming back from L.A. with freight for Chicago, reloading in Chicago for Toronto. That's illegal. They seized her truck for 8 months, and she had a hell of a time getting it back. They literally put her out of business. Another fact about U.S. Customs, when you enter the port, they can scan your license plate, and they do, and they can find out all sorts of information right there on their screens. They'll find out whether you've got a criminal record, whether anyone in your family or any one of your associates has a criminal record, whether you're behind on your taxes, all sorts of things. So you do not ever lie to U.S. Customs because they already know all the truth about you. I did a short video on a load of coffee that Customs had seized and searched, and all sorts of drivers wrote in and said, well, what happened after that? What were the repercussions? Did you get fired? No, what happened after that was I delivered the load of coffee all torn up to the receiver. I was an owner-operator at the time, so I didn't own the load. The receiver simply had to call their insurance because there was just nothing they could do about it. There are no repercussions on U.S. Customs. Now, luckily, I had asked Customs to put some U.S. Customs tape on a few of the bags so the receiver would know that it had been a legitimate Customs search. And they don't even have to do that, but they were good enough to do it in that instance. That let me off the hook altogether, but there are no repercussions, no backlash that anyone can do to U.S. Customs. I, of course, was fully paid for the trip because the search had nothing to do with anything I'd done wrong. Nowadays, however, and thankfully so, most trailer searches are done by running the unit through a radar scanner or using dogs, and they don't violate the cargo nearly as much as they used to. One of the principal jobs of U.S. Customs is to ensure when freight enters the country that the proper tariffs and duties and taxes have been paid on that freight. Now, one time I was hauling a load of French wine out of Canada that had come over on the plane. I was hauling that out of Canada and it was destined for California. I got to U.S. Customs, they researched the wine, found out that there was a quota on French wine being allowed into the U.S., and they seized that load right there and then. Again, no fault of my own, I got paid for all of that. But they simply never permitted that wine to enter the States because France had already shipped as much as they were allowed to, and I never did find out what happened to that expensive load of French wine. One last story, I was rolling down the Ambassador Bridge one afternoon, headed for U.S. Customs, and I was rolling up towards the customs booth. There was a truck ahead of me right at the customs booth, and the customs officer must have heard something inside that made him want to check the trailer right then and there. So he went around to the back, opened up the door, and all of a sudden, all sorts of migrants were just pouring out of the back of that trailer, and they were jumping down. There was only one customs officer there at the time. There must have been 20 or 30 of them jumped out of the trailer, and they were running all over the Ambassador Bridge. And it was kind of funny to watch at the time, all these people scattering every which direction trying to get away. And it was kind of funny, but U.S. Customs didn't see any humor in it, I can tell you that. Bottom line here is, U.S. Customs is serious business, and customs officials are serious people, and you just don't want to screw with them. And just to help drive that point home, U.S. Customs officials have the power to do cavity searches on drivers. And I'm not talking about the kind you get at the dentist's office. Stay safe. Don't screw with U.S. Customs. Keep the rubber side down. I'll see you in the backhaul.